And we are live. My name is Outlaw. I am your host of RNN Live. Sorry for, we've been out for quite a few weeks now. I haven't published a video and I haven't had any streams for multiple reasons. Most of the reasons originally was just because I've been just so busy and I just haven't had the motivation to really make a video because work and I wanted to do stuff with Val. So.
It's all lies.
Drug deal go wrong?
What?
Drug deal go wrong. He screwed up my order, so
But yeah, work has also been a big part because I've been really trying to build up my income at work. The other thing is I've also let one of my videos for 1 week. Well, I couldn't upload because one of my videos I got a channel strike because of one of my videos, and video got removed. So that was that week. I was planning on having a video then, but then I got the channel strike. And yeah, that's what it is. I was thinking of releasing a video this weekend. I just don't have the motivation to work on two different videos and release one on today and one on Wednesday. I'm just going to do starting again on Wednesday. So that will be the next video will come out.
And instead, all you did is waste your time watching The Mummy with me and playing Far Cry 5.
Hey, I had fun. I've been working on a video still. I just don't have the motivation to work on two videos at once.
Plus, Far Cry 5 is a fun game.
Yeah, but Outlaw likes to play it to go down the war crime fantasy route.
What do you mean I like to go the war crime fantasy route? You're the one who likes to burn everyone.
Shut up.
Wait, you guys play World of Warcraft in 21?
Anyways, why don't we have our guests introduce themselves, starting from the bottom?
Hello, my name's Neko Boy. I'm a YouTuber and music producer. I got that mixed up this time.
And Demon's gone.
Well, the shit.
Well, now you cannot change him. Now Demon is the bottom again forever. you cannot rig it this time.
All right, Putza.
All right. I own the all-purpose group on Minds. I run a channel called Man of Dreams, which is mostly parodies and clipping the stream. And I'll likely have a video up in a couple of weeks. I'll likely clip this stream too.
I don't know, because not always our streams have funny parts. I don't know what you find, but good luck.
We'll find something. I'll make something.
Okay, and of course,
dang it!
Demon,
Now I'm back on the bottom.
But he left, so he doesn't get to say his part.
Sorry, your chance of changing it is long gone now.
It's on you, buddy.
I don't want anything on me. Nothing that you have.
Don't worry, the closest problem you have to deal with is Neko.
Z?
Oh, I have to introduce myself?
Yes.
Oh. How shall I describe myself? War crime entrepreneur.
And my boy.
He also likes gas and furnaces.
And
he works for the Biden
furnace.
He works for the Biden administration, okay?
Well, to be fair, a gas oven is much better for baking.
And by the way, nice to see you, Executioner.
What?
It's just someone in the chat. He said sup.
Someone new.
We have a comment here.
Have you heard of the hashtag super straight, you misspelled straight, movement? Well, it's not really a movement. It's more of a calling out the hypocrisy.
I thought that was just another troll thing, like the straight pride thing, which was
Me too.
Troll.
Well, it's still a troll, and the troll effort can still have a goal. I mean, the straight pride thing was still, its main goal was to offend people and publicly show people acting stupid and just straight out sexist. Both were achieved. So
I still never even got why they even got upset about that. Like, who the fuck cares whether they were being serious?
Because the people who have been able to hold the gay pride parades for the fucking half century are still oppressed in the Western world.
Well, something I was talking about. I was talking history about this. Essentially, the roles of the nationalist-like things have moved on to the left, ethno-nationalism and many things like that. And they don't want a different tribe that they don't like to challenge that supremacy. These things from the 20th century, it didn't die out. It just took a more modernized and more trendy form. Like that ain't dying anytime soon.
Nobody look at China, India, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Iran, or any of those other places where gay people actually don't have rights.
Well, they're convenient allies, sort of what Stalin was like in World War II. So they'll go at it next once when we're gone, or they feel that this side has committed.
Oh, they're already turning on each other.
Yeah.
Have you noticed the left eating their own a lot? Because they're like, we've silenced all the people that are libertarian or right-wing, so who do we go after now? We have to be outraged about something, so ergo, they're going after each other.
It's a slugfest, and, well, may the best side win. They're going to win, rather, if we like it or not, is the joke.
I always still find it interesting how the liberal libertarians want to side with the left on so many issues. Like, you can agree with on certain things, yes, but to partner up with them, like, really, are you that retarded?
Well, somebody made a really good
Use
comment.
the R word. How dare you?
It's all right. Destiny does it, but
You were saying?
Oh, what was I? What was I saying? Cut me off, and then temporarily forgot about it.
Oh no, he's retarded now.
Oh, well, yeah, that I agree with. Let's just go on to what you say.
Well, I mean, yes, they are pretty stupid. Stream safe word. Anyways,
No need.
well-
You can cuss as much as you want here.
okay,
The
well,
streams you can cuss in, just not my videos. But you'll just
Okay,
be
so-
censored in my videos.
anyways, it sounds like the libertarians are like thinking, oh, we can be friends, but if you've been paying attention the past few years, it doesn't matter if you support gay rights or whatever, they'll still hate you because you're a capitalist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you take anarcho movements, anarchy is actually pretty diverse. So is libertarianism, and so there'll be a lot of infighting with that group until it's more properly established. If anybody's probably going to transition into that place, it's likely going to be the Republicans. They have more of an incentive. They value individualism, property, guns. They like the social issues. It's a strong way. It grasps a lot of libertarianism, but just the way that they go about in achieving it, with all the government regulation and everything, is something that I don't see a lot of libertarians moving to. Like they're socially liberal, yes, but in the end, they'll be more physically conservative.
You know what I still don't understand, though, is why is it that there are still some, obviously not all, or even probably most, libertarians, there's still some who vote for the Democrats and never vote for a Republican. But, I can understand not voting for any party. I can understand that. But voting for the Democrats, I can't understand. I
Well,
really
as
can't.
we say,
most Democrats are not capitalists. They're either regulationists, corporatists, or socialists.
yeah, as you said, people are retarded. So I don't know. Like you have to understand, a lot of politics is just impulse. Like I know all of you know the term of impulse buying, or just buying something because you see it. And I think that there's just a psychological grab of preserving something at this point. Like, I look at an average Republican and Democrat, I don't see things changing too much, but there's a sense of security of voting for a party that constantly nails in your head that they're going to protect this and that. And to your social premise, like if you live in Virginia and you're a libertarian, you'll likely vote for, well, the conservative party. Culture plays a part of that, and vice versa if you live in another area of a more left-leaning persuasion. Now, people don't consider things. People, just often generate and go with the crowd, and then we get idiots in office like Biden.
Oh, did you hear his latest?
Well, what did he
His
do?
latest fun. Oh well, several different things this week. There was the live stream he was doing, and he was like, I don't know, are you supposed to ask me questions now? And then they just cut the feed. And then there was he was talking about Kamala, and he was like, we got Indians all over the place now. Or he's like, there's a Native American who's the vice president. It's like, dude, she's Indian. She's not Native American. I mean, as long as we don't talk about, the stolen erection or January X, I think we're okay.
The stolen erection.
I wasn't the only one who heard him say that.
Well,
Hey, look,
about that,
I'd be
this is
mad
probably
if
going to be
someone stole
the.
my erection. Go ahead.
Jesus Christ.
Well, whenever
Anyway.
anyone sees a naked picture of Hillary Clinton, she definitely steals people's erections.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh!
I don't know if that was cringy or genius.
Or
If it's turning more men gay, then it's genius. If it's supposed to be a joke, then it was just terrible, because now you put a terrible image in all of our heads.
Nancy Pelosi walks out in a bathrobe and goes, "Good morning,
No!
Sunday morning." You're like,
All right. To AOC's credit, she's probably the only woman in there I would fuck.
I mean, I'd smash.
I mean, if I had to choose between her and Hillary and everybody else in there, I would probably go for it.
I mean, I have to say,
as long as you got a
you would
ball
go
gag
with
in
the
her mouth.
youngest of them all, who doesn't resemble a dinosaur.
Yes.
She resembles a donkey or a horse.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
sort of
but something
that.
still exists.
All right, enough derailing, boys. Let's get to the video.
oh yeah, but before we get on to that, we can talk about the Dr. Seuss thing, because I know we were saying about we wanted to talk a little bit about that. So whoever wants to start, I'm going to go grab something and be right back.
What?
I guess my question would be, what's the alternative to eBay?
The black market.
Craigslist is still a better alternative to eBay.
Good
If
point,
you're in
yeah.
America.
I haven't used
All right,
it in
let me,
forever.
To me, the Dr. Seuss thing comes down to this. The company decided to do it, and a quick publication of 6 books. And then, some public schools were like, "Oh, we're taking them out." And then a picture came out of Michelle Obama reading those books to kids. And then, just because they're not being published anymore doesn't mean you can't find them. And you know how much they're selling for on eBay?
You mean
Hundreds
word?
of dollars.
Yeah,
What, the
yeah,
racist ones? Or alleged racist ones, right?
yeah, because
Yes.
half of the shit that they wrote is trash and so on. But one of the funnier things that I'm gonna say, which is another thing whose prices have skyrocketed since a certain issue, is Lola Bunny, and I'm not gonna explain it beyond that.
Okay, how did we get on Lola Bunny? When I was
Prices
Oh,
for Dr. Seuss books and just something that's happening at the same time.
Yeah, they changed her sexy appearance, and so do something
yeah, I
a little
know,
bit
I've
more
heard.
funny, yeah.
I've seen.
I mean, she's
Well,
probably
you
the
know what else?
inspiration between why you're a furry, right?
No, not for me.
Really? Really? That's for a lot of people, though.
Well, for one, I'm not straight or bisexual.
Yeah, he's the failed one.
Plus, I didn't start becoming really interested in anthropomorphic animals until later in my. I think
Yeah, but she played a huge part in influencing that.
Well, yeah, for a lot of more bisexual and straight furs. But
How did this all go to this because of fucking Dr. Seuss?
Well, welcome to our stream. Well, welcome to our stream. You're now in streaming hell, buddy.
Like, I can recognize when a woman is an attractive woman, but I don't feel any sexual attraction.
Huh.
Because
I don't know how I feel
you
about that.
probably
That's
can
kind of
recognize-
sucks.
Well, it's like how
I
you
told
probably
him
can
that
recognize
some
a
time
man is a handsome, even possibly attractive man, but you don't feel anything sexual for them, like that.
Well,
I get that.
it's more that I'm jealous and I want his body. Not in a sexual way. I mean, I like really want to rip his head off and then replace it with mine.
That honestly sounds like something
I'm
a
not
woman
gay,
would
but I
say.
could. I'm not gay, but I could say Chris Hemsworth is a very attractive man.
Everyone can say that. Also, you can beat all of us pretty much.
Hey! I heard a story once. All right, and it was to my Christian grandmother.
Uh-oh.
God made more attractive men, so my husband can fuck.
What?
Made more attractive men. She said that God made more attractive men, maybe because my husband can go look up the other men. And I say that's bullshit. She was kind of weird and suffering from what is that?
Alzheimer's?
Alzheimer's? Yes. Either way, it was a fond memory. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. My dad had Parkinson's and Alzheimer's before he passed, and he was saying he'd say all kinds of crazy things, and I'd just be like, "What?"
Yeah, when I was younger, my grandmother was still alive. Because I didn't understand it, because when she had Alzheimer's, and when she suddenly was just speaking gibberish, every time she started speaking gibberish, I would say, "Grandma's speaking Spanish again," because I thought like that was Spanish.
Oh,
I
you
guess.
racist!
You were a terrible child.
God
You
damn.
are a racist child.
Oh, that's probably because I didn't understand Spanish, so I thought it was just Spanish, and that was
You
like,
still don't understand Spanish.
Yeah, but I don't think it's gibberish anymore, like when I was a kid.
All right.
No,
but
it's
to
I refuse to believe that.
to have a final say in the Dr. Seuss thing, well, the others will likely add on to it. There's always a strategist that's sort of pulling the strings and making people go about and doing things. I think that the Dr. Seuss thing is that it's part of an older culture and one that isn't super woke. And it plays from a strategic standpoint of view that it is an older part of American culture, one that a lot of kids are into, and then that challenges their hegemony of their current culture. And so by taking it out or discrediting it, a challenge to their status quo, to take out most of the things that are infantile is a good way of going about it, because kids are easily one of those things that are easily most absorbent. They're the easiest to indoctrinate, and it's more about just limiting and making a space of influence, kind of like fascism in a way. Ironic.
And that is why all the people who want to get rid of Dr. Seuss books now should have been the ones that should have been beaten with a goddamn belt.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I can't condone it.
Oh,
Can I hear
you
anything?
can. So,
Anyways,
I'm not gonna go
there
down
goes
that road.
Demon again.
mm,
Well,
it's his
okay,
own fault,
so
not our problem anymore.
I think we talked enough about the whole Dr. Seuss thing, especially since we got off track.
Oh yeah, Lola Bunny.
Don't bring that up again.
Okay, now, so, since we're done with that, why don't we get on with the video? So this video is titled, Ben Shapiro Loves Blade Runner. Wait, did I say that right? Blade Runner, How the Right Doesn't Understand the Themes of Their Favorite Films. So it looks like he might be going over Blade Runner, Star Wars, and The Punisher. Alright, so does anyone
You know
have
what
any
my problem
comments
with
before we
Blade
start the
Runner
video?
is?
But,
Blade Runner's just boring.
Oh,
To be honest, I don't even know what Blade Runner is. I don't think I've ever
no,
seen it.
you haven't seen Blade Runner?
To be fair, my
I
main
did not-
mistake was watching Blade Runner 2049 in cinemas.
Neither
The main
have I.
issue is that Blade Runner is fantastically written. It's just slow. It's a very slow-paced film, which then unfortunately gives it the impression of being boring. And the original 1.5 hour runtime of Blade Runner, it works. I mean, it's a bit boring in some places, but the story makes it work. But then you got
Yeah.
Blade Runner 2049, where you have the exact same slow pace, but now it's for 2 hours and 40 minutes, and trust me, it's gonna feel like 6 hours.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. I mean, I guess I'm the kind of guy that likes eye candy. I like to think about the work and the amount of craft and time went into these scenes. I like finding the hidden detail, but as somebody who doesn't have a trained eye, I like looking at the hidden story and stuff like that. I can see why people find it boring.
Well,
I can't blame
can
people.
you give me like a brief overview of what Blade Runner is about, so I can get a general idea?
Well, to put it simplistically, there were the people that were called replicas, and there was this one replica that was going rogue, and this investigator it goes and hunts him down for this noir, futuristic like story, and I guess it had several themes of humanity and many of that going over about it, but the story ending was finding out that the main character I think was a replica in the end, and he goes and takes over them. It's been a hot minute since I've seen it, but doesn't it semi-reflect that?
It
Okay.
implies that, but in Blade Runner 2049, they confirmed that no, he's human. So,
Really? Huh, the eye scene thing kind of threw me off then at the end.
it was, well, Blade Runner was never supposed to have a sequel, so.
Oh, I see.
I never saw the sequel, but to me, like the first one, it was well acted. It was beautiful. The storyline was really good. It was just like it was so slow. I was just like, is anything ever gonna happen here? Because oh my god, like it's making me sad. Like I'm so bored. My ADD's kicking in. But
Anyways, we have a comment
it's not
here.
a bad movie.
Oh, that's a comment. So they turned Blade Runner into Blade Walker. Shut up, Roy. Shut up, Roy, or I put you back in the fire.
Although it has one of the best Easter eggs of all time, I like the Atari thing.
So why exactly is it liked within, I guess, conservative circles, or for whatever reason?
Oh, that's a good
I
question.
don't-
It's shot like a noir film. It's a lot like a noir film, and I think that
Or like
probably
Cyberpunk.
yeah, just more of a 1940s like version of cyberpunk.
So it's more of the aesthetic that is.
Yeah,
got
it's more the
attraction.
aesthetic. Yeah,
No, Cyberpunk always has had that kind of noir feel for the detective side of it. It's just Cyberpunk the style. It's the story that's noir. To be more precise.
cyberpunk is just lib right.
I think the reason why in this case in his video, because I'm not too sure why he would be saying that conservatives love the film, is because it does have a very pro-life-esque message. Because the whole thing is that the replicants, they are basically human copies.
Mm-hmm.
They're living machines. Kind of like the synthetics from Fallout 4.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a limited lifespan.
No, the synths in Fallout 4, I killed all those motherfuckers.
God damn it!
Wait, whoops.
Did you join the Brotherhood of Steel?
Yes, I did.
God
Actually,
damn it.
my gameplay of Fallout 4 was the most bizarre because I only ever used one save file. So I first started out with the Minutemen, then I went on with the Railroad, then I joined the Brotherhood, then I destroyed the Railroad, then I joined the Institute, and then I destroyed the Brotherhood.
God, man, you went to every single political spectrum of that game.
Yes, I
That's
took all
what
the
I
good
did
shit and
too.
I destroyed everyone. And then I also destroyed the Institute.
I think
And then you went home and grilled.
I never actually finished Fallout 4. I wanted to, but I forgot.
What fucking game do you finish then?
I do finish games. I just don't finish games as much as I used to.
Fallout 4 is a
But
great game.
if I was to, I think it was because I was waiting for a DLC. I was hoping that probably would never have come.
There's 2 DLCs now.
Anyways,
Let's go.
I probably would have finished with the Brotherhood of Steel. Not just I didn't particularly like any side, But my main reason was because I liked the romanceable character. What's his name? Because I thought he was kind of hot. So.
Oh god.
Well,
That
every
was my-
faction,
What?
every faction had their ups and downs. That was the thing. You had to just pick one.
Yeah, I know. I didn't particularly like that factor, but my whole thing is the main reason why I decided, other than the fact I did like the kind of the aesthetic of some of the stuff from the Brotherhood, but also just the fact that I just find that.
Are you talking about Paladin Dan?
Yes, Paladin Dan. He was hot.
Yeah,
I
of
just
course.
figured whoever had the
wanted
coolest
a
looking
big
armor.
metal dick, did you?
What's
Well-
actually kind of disappointing is that there was a plan for the Brotherhood of Steel section of the game where you could fight. What was his name?
Elder
Brother
Max.
Yeah, Elder Maxon.
Yeah,
so you
that's what I
could.
was hoping for them to come out with the DLC to have that as an option or something.
I
No,
wanted
but-
to shoot him in the face and take his jacket.
Well, you could actually do that.
I did.
If everything. You could do that if everything went as it did, but for some reason they decided to scrap it. But enough of the original audio files are there that there is a mod out there, so you can redo that mission.
Oh, you can't.
So
Yeah,
you can
you can
actually
mod the
take
crap out of
control
that game.
So you can actually take control of the Brotherhood of Steel.
Then maybe I should try to do that. I can get the computer one just start over again.
What I'm wondering is why we're not talking about the settlement problem. Marked it on your map.
Oh, God damn it, Percy. Percy, fuck you. They could all die.
I love that meme.
Screw the NCR.
Which group did you all sign up with for? I mean, let's face it. New Vegas is the pinnacle of Fallout games.
Hell
No
yes.
argument there.
Fallout 4 is second place, let's just say, in terms of gameplay quality, but story-wise, Fallout Net, or maybe Fallout 2, you can argue is equal to Fallout New Vegas because of how much fucked up shit you can do in that game.
Heresy, New Vegas.
Anyways, let's
best
get on with the
Fallout.
video because we've gone.
Please,
way off
let's
topic.
actually watch it.
Okay, just one thing. We got distracted by Loa Bunny and Fallout 4. It's been a long quarantine, right?
And Paladin
It wouldn't
dances
be-
dick.
It wouldn't be one of our streams if
shut
we
up,
didn't
Outlaw.
derail it. Okay, go.
Let's go.
Blade Runner is perhaps one of the greatest films ever made. You could arguably say it's the greatest film ever made. It's certainly always in my list of top 10 films, even when that list fluctuates. Blade Runner is one of the things that always I go to.
Me to one business that has ever pandered to SJWs that succeeded. Point me to one. Point me to one movie that has ever pandered to SJWs and succeeded.
In fairness, this
You
guy,
can't
I've seen
because
him
it does
before.
not
He's a
exist.
complete
Pander
idiot.
to the people that sit in a tent.
Wait,
in a
Jeremy?
movie theater
Yeah.
To
overnight.
gamers? I love that guy.
I know, but some of the stuff that he says, it could hurt the movement, in lack of better words. It might have been out of context things, but I know he's said and done some dumb stuff.
Haven't we all?
Yes, but
Some
more
do it
than
more than
others.
others.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some more than others.
I
Okay,
mean,
continue.
who really
I'm
wants to
looking at
defend
doing
no
this
bullshit?
group.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get on with the video.
It's just to talk about their favorite Star Wars stories and characters. Pander to those people. Do not pander to social justice. We need to get her political ideology and propaganda out of Star Wars. Make Star Wars great again. Fire Kathleen Kennedy. Fire her 3 months ago.
I made a lot of videos talking about how conservatives
This
don't really
fucking
understand a lot of the movies they
I
love.
got
I
cooked.
mainly have spoke about Star Wars because I've made videos
I said it was the Tabernacle.
He did one.
Oh yeah,
that-
you're right.
I
Let's
also
say it
speak-
on about it. Never mind, I'm an idiot.
about the fandom menace, and these anti-SJWs keep saying, keep your politics out of my Star Wars, despite the original Star Wars film being extremely political, especially for the time. Probably more so now because all these people getting so butthurt about politics. So what are
Okay.
What exactly
how?
was political about Star Wars? Because I'm trying to.
Well, it has a severely libertarian message in the first couple of films. It had a very anti-fascist message to it as well.
Well, the Empire is based on Nazi Germany, so
You sprinkle a little bit of the British Empire in there, like those sexy British accents. That wasn't unintentional.
fair.
Yeah, but yeah. I would say it's more of the little guy rising above the big empire. It's not the most profound message, but it's there.
I guess you could say it's there, but it's nothing like major and nothing.
Yeah,
interesting.
like
no,
It's
they
not
wanted
in
to
your
tell a story.
face.
yeah. Well,
Oh,
I
well,
mean,
go ahead.
I was gonna say I just see Star Wars as more of just kind of your typical hero rising sort of story. It's not that political.
But it is sort of starting to turn was that way with recent events, and the reason why, as I mentioned, the culture war. Star Wars is almost like a religion. Well, it is one of the most popular things that the Western civilization has produced, and probably the later half of the century.
Well, to be fair, both in Britain and Australia, the Jedi Order is a real religion.
Or even in the army, you can
Registered.
register as Jedi.
Really?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Well, they have, what are those sovereign citizen people that are in Britain, or the insane people that are in Australia too?
Yeah. But
I do not want to go down the route of sovereign citizens and.
But if you go into
US.
if you go into the extended lore, it gets a hell of a lot more political, especially the Clone Wars. But for the mainstream perspective, I would say it's mostly tame.
How
Yeah.
is the Clone Wars exactly political?
Okay, so the Clone Wars, well, for starters, Palpatine is manipulating both sides to essentially destabilize the galaxy, so he can essentially create his fascist state later. The Confederate states or the independent Confederate star systems want to break away from the inner core, which is essentially a very massive, like tens of thousands of states, and they're absorbing the resources, and they feel essentially in their union that they're left out, and they're essentially trying to break free.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason why the separatists aren't really all that good guys, well, it's not black and white. It's very gray. But one of the reasons that they're not is that a bunch of corporations are taking advantage, committing a shit ton of war crimes with these mini Terminators, and a lot of them are literally extremists. Like, we're talking about, like, resurrecting slave empires and shit. It's there's a shit ton of war crimes. It is honestly, if you would look at the Clone Wars as like a war documentary, it hits every single point well. Like everything to using like civilians as human like shields so people can bomb them, and it goes in. It's a very complex nature. Now it isn't super in your face again, but it's a lot more politicized than the movies.
Are you talking about the books or the anime?
The show, the books. I'm trying to simplify it. Like if I would look at the Clone Wars, I would say that the Clone Wars is probably the most politicized.
Besides the new trilogy, which doesn't exist in my mind.
Yes,
which might also be cancelled. So.
But honestly, from a war standpoint, it doesn't try to paint both sides as the good guys and bad guys, except for the main protagonists that we're used to. Like it does go into, there's like literally an episode in the Clone Wars where it's talking about the Senate, and they're trying to cut off war funds because the population is starving. Mm-hmm. And if they continue more war funds, it's going to cause more suffering for the people. And there was almost a point where they came to a moment of peace, and then Shittiest is like, oh shit, somebody take this bitch out, and then the whole thing just goes back to, this very big.
You look at it. You look at a character like Ashoka, and like she's kind of like a mix of light and dark side. So she wasn't like good, bad. She was kind of just like chaotic, neutral.
Well, yeah. If you look at the
neutral.
Yeah, well, if you look at Maul and Ahsoka at the end, the point is that they were both hyperbolic extremes. They were at the fringes of their ideology, and they were there because they were screwed over by the higher ups or the higher powers of their forces. And so they were both sort of lone wolves that didn't have a place in the current structures.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why I liked both those characters. Those are two of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, let's continue.
I'm going to do this video is talk about why conservatives love certain movies, from Ben Shapiro and Blade Runner to people like Geeks and Gamers and Star Wars. Maybe we'll also throw in some Punisher there. But we're going to talk about how conservatives fundamentally do not understand the political themes and messages of the films they love. A lot of ones I haven't touched, Starship Troopers, V for Vendetta. If any other ones, put them in the comments and maybe there'll be a part 2 to this video one day. Before we go any further, edgier content on
Starship
my channel
Troopers
is always demonetized. So
The main
if you
reason
want
why
to
people
support
love
me
Starship Troopers,
monetarily,
except
please
Americans.
I
do
love
so.
that
Hey,
movie.
Chris, Outlaw doesn't like it.
I haven't
I
honestly
never
to
said I
God
didn't
seen
like
Star
it. I
Troopers.
just don't want to watch it.
Well,
I
the
haven't
books,
seen that film.
The book's a little different than the movie, so
The
book
book's a
is
lot
terrible.
different than the movie.
in fact, I'd say the books are actually a little more interesting in some aspects.
Yeah, but
It
also the
always-
books were
the book
made.
always is.
Yeah, but
Uh,
also you're
not always.
missing one key point. Whereas the film was made as a satire against fascism, you know, hence for some of the overly preachy stuff in the film.
Mm-hmm.
The book was made by a person who genuinely believed in this militaristic view,
Mm-hmm.
where the only people who should be able to vote are ones who go out into combat and so on and so on and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Like the author genuinely believed that's how you create an ideal world.
Well, if
So-
you live in Israel, you have to join the military.
Well, it's also kind of easy considering certain parts of Israel, it literally is like 4 times in a week you have to deal with missiles falling down on top of your
Yeah.
city. So
Yeah, you kind of want to.
you can't really compare it to like countries like the US or Britain where, you know, our politicians decide to send us to fight for some black goo from the ground.
Or, we'll just go bomb Syria. Yeah, nothing to see here. Hey, you want your stimulus check? Oh, yeah, we'll go bomb Syria and give $500 billion to Raytheon.
Anyways,
Why?
continue.
Patreon. Thanks so much to everyone who has already done this at the moment and in the future. If you want to join our growing community, please check my personal Reddit. So with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Also check out the podcast I do with my girlfriend Holly. Link is in the description. We talk about
This guy's in a
political things, we
relationship.
talk about more casual things
He has
as
a
well.
girlfriend?
Thanks so much for the support recently as well. 25k, we hit it last week.
Or
that
now.
means there are now 5 chocolate oranges.
All right,
One
guys,
red
I'm back.
65K. Come on, let's get 6. Let's
I didn't know you were gone.
Oh yeah, I got a phone call, and I was talking for a couple of moments, and yeah, I couldn't see what you guys were doing. I hope you guys were like, oh, Putz is AFK.
We didn't
No,
know
we
that you
we were talking about nonsense.
Let's make fun of him.
No big deal.
Let's make this nice and symmetrical. And you guys know you want to help me hit 100k one day, so I'll just stream myself eating all those stale chocolate oranges. So I was thinking of doing the Blade Runner films in chronological order, but let's start with the person who's probably in the title of this video, Ben Shapiro. Now, Ben Shapiro's politics are pretty well known, but let's see what he thinks of Blade Runner 2049 before we get into the plot and before we get into how his politics kind of caused the world and dystopia that the Blade Runner films exist in.
Is he picking on Ben Shapiro because he's Jewish?
What did he
He's
say
a
about
well-known
Ben?
conservative figure.
Okay, what's that say there?
Ben Shapiro's a neocon.
I wouldn't quite say he's a neocon. I would say more if he's a...
He does say some stuff that pisses me off, though.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that he doesn't. But he's not like some...
He's kind of run-of-the-mill
neocon.
conservative.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
he
mean,
had the position to secure, so he's going to say what's most safest.
Safest, is that a word?
I can't remember. I don't know if he's actually... I think he's not for foreign wars so much, except for he's obviously...
He's not for
Israel.
foreign wars unless it involves protecting Israel.
Except for that, yeah. That's like the only thing where he would be on neocon part, really.
I need to
Everything
get
else
on Israel. I need to understand this shit.
Everything else he has typical conservative views.
Mostly,
one who-
yeah.
Yeah?
Mostly he's conservative. I just like sometimes he says stuff and I'm like, no.
Well, yes, there is those occasions. So the one who's an actual neocon would be like
Romney.
No, I was
Yes.
going to say about someone from the Daily Wire specifically.
Turtle
would
Mitch.
Be, what's his name? Michael
Jeb.
Knowles. He would be a good example of a neocon on the Daily Wire.
Yeah, I know Michael Knowles.
Yeah,
I
let's
mean,
go
not
with Jeb Bush
personally.
and his guac bowls and tiny tortoise.
Right, continue with the video.
It is continued.
Oh, wait, why am I not seeing it?
It's just not. He has it saying nothing here for so long. I don't know why.
Dead air.
Fine, I'll play some music. Stop
Stop it.
As I
That
can
was one of his
see.
favourite movies of the 2010s. So now let's get into how ridiculous it is that it's one of his favourite movies, or that is this guy just completely psychotic and that he sees Blade Runner 2049, he's like, that is the world I'm helping to create and I can't wait to live in there. Blade Runner and cyberpunk as a concept is normally showing a world which has been completely destroyed by capitalism, where there are barely any workers' rights, where, you know, they've commodified even humanity. And obviously a big thing in the Blade Runner
Yes,
universe
because
and
it's
Durant was dream
capitalism,
of
but a
electric
massive
sheep.
corporation is able to buy up everything and screw over everyone. It's totally not like we have a word called corporatism.
And it's not like there's a massive surveillance state in Cyberpunk either.
Yeah, well, part of its lore, I think there was like a World War III. And,
Yes.
Yeah, and the government kind of fucked up.
Basically, Cyberpunk and Akira basically shared the same background.
I see.
The
So the
point being,
government
like,
played it. Go ahead.
it's not very free market if you have a massive government. Something these left-wingers normally never seem to
Advocate.
understand or just like to gloss over because it's inconvenient.
Well, you know what? The thing about this guy that bothers me is I don't think he's stupid. I just think he's delusional. Like, I'm sure if you sat down
Well,
and
to
talked to
be
him, you could be
fair,
like,
there is a fine line between stupid and delusional.
Yeah.
You have to be a certain amount of stupid to be politically delusional, and you have to be a certain amount of crazy to just be delusional in general.
oh, he's definitely like, okay, so he thinks that, oh, the world of cyberpunk. Oh, well, okay. You want to compare it to capitalism? How about you compare it to communist China?
Yeah, you know, I've heard at some point some guy was like saying that I think it was like capitalist countries killed more than communist people, but I wouldn't really call the monarchies of the past to be very pro-communist. I mean, pro-capital. For instance, no, they would seize the means of production. There was this one king, I think in Greece. He discarded an early steam engine because he didn't like it and wouldn't let it be put on the market, which held humanity back for easily 3,000 years.
But they did
Not
make
only-
Greek fire.
Yes,
Ironically enough, Greek fire does not come from Greece.
it became from the Byzantines.
Wait, do we even know why it's called Greek fire?
You know, we still can't figure out how it was made.
Yeah,
Both yes and no. We got an idea as to how it's made because napalm acts in a very similar manner, and we have been able to speculate that technically, whereas we use some kind of jelly format for napalm, they use more than likely an oil format.
I was going to say white phosphorus.
but
Anyways, just continue.
go ahead.
Is about slavery, because humans have now enslaved an entire race they have created and make them do the most awful jobs to expand the colonial reach of humanity. But I think a big one to focus on the Blade Runner films is that they really reflect the fears of the time. So I made a video about the anti-Asian sentiment often in Cyberpunk and Blade Runner as well, where
What
it's
the
feared
fuck
that the Japanese are going to take
Does he
over the
mean
global economy.
anti-Chinese?
So that kind of
Cyberpunk is severely, like, Asian inclusive. The fuck is he talking about?
I think their point was to diverge multiple cultures. I don't think they were against one group in particularly. Plus, you have to consider Cyberpunk is made in Poland, which Poland, as a nation that I trust, was probably one of the last places to go authoritarian, is because they got fucked over by both the communists and the Nazis. And even before,
Ironically enough, they are slowly turning a bit authoritarian now, but that causes them. So
yeah.
might see
So
a
now-
monarchy over soon.
I would have to look more into Poland, but I don't know. I've always kind of liked that nation. I always kind of rooted that for them.
I'm
Well,
wondering
look-
if Poland is kind of going a little authoritarian because they see what's happening in the West.
No, they're
Well-
going a bit authoritarian, and especially the more homophobic route. And when I say homophobic, I do genuinely mean that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, just think of it like this. You are a country that, for a good portion of your history, you've been tossed between the Russian Empire and the German Empire, or the Prussians, more precisely. And then after World War I, 1918, your country finally becomes its own country for a short period of time. Then the Soviet Union tried to invade you in 1919. Then they tried to invade you in 1923. No, wait,
Yeah.
1920.
20 what?
The Soviet Union tried to invade Poland in the 20s and failed.
I know. I was just making fun of your lack of ability to say the word H or the letter H.
Okay. Anyways, so yeah, and then of course, Nazis and the Soviet Union, Cold War. So they finally got their country back, and they're still a growing economy. They're still fairly market-wise independent. I mean, they still have their own currency. And then over like the past half decade, you've suddenly had the countries like I mean, for fuck's sakes, the EU tried to charge Poland to pay reparations to Germany.
What?
Really?
That's not a joke. To punish the Polish government that basically said, no, we're not going to go with this political bullshit to have terrorists in our country. The EU tried to slap them to force them to pay reparations to Germany for World War II, and I don't remember the exact reasoning. It was retarded. But I don't
Because
support
Germany
the concept
has-
of reparations, and that one was the worst concept ever. And then you have an ever-growing LGBT community field in Poland, which is mostly made up of foreigners moving over there. And oftentimes they bring a particular symbol of a hammer and sickle with them, while simultaneously calling the average Polish person a Nazi. You can kind of see why they've turned very homophobic very quickly. I don't blame them.
Well, it's not only what that is. I think Poland is retrenching, and you'll see like a lot of European countries doing it first. Like hell, even France is doing it. I don't know the extent of it, this SJW influence or the new culture war, but I sense that Europe is kind of getting scared in many of its countries. There is a very strong presence here in America, and I sense that it's coming over to them. And
Oh, it's already
I don't know,
been
it
coming
gets-
over. We've been dealing with this shit for the past 20 years. It's only
I
exploded.
know, but
in like the last
yeah, it's
decade.
exploded, and it's gonna get. I don't know if it's gonna get worse or better, but it's
I'm
gonna
gonna
be some
say
interesting
it's
political
going-
times.
If it continues to go worse, it's going to reach the point where guns will be involved. And I'm going to tell you, the fucking guy who drinks Soylent all his life isn't going to survive. Hell, if he fires even a pistol, he's going to break his arms.
But I'm kind of afraid that the government bureaucracies might actually launch the wars that they always wanted because of it. That guy's an instrument. He's not the main blunt of it. And that's like
Yeah,
the
but-
biggest thing. That's
Yeah,
like one of
but
the,
I also see another issue with that whole thing, because whereas I could see in the US trying to do something, with China possibly coming in for the actual government aid, if you will, for control.
oh,
In
if there's
Europe,
a
I
civil
don't
war,
see that.
They
No,
to
in-
control the government.
No, in Europe, I don't see that happening, because even though the European nations want to work with each other to form their own, totalitarian union or whatever they want to create, like with Merkel and what she's doing to Germany, or like Macron is doing to France. The issue is that each one of them are trying to screw over at the same time each other. Where does that go aside from mutually assured destruction?
It's Europe. Y'all have been doing that for like thousands of years.
Okay, I think that we
Exactly.
should probably get back to the video, and to make up for his lost time, I think we should probably chug
Yes.
through at least 1 minute. Then we can start talking.
Do we
Factors
have
into the Asianness
I
of
mean,
the first
we
Blade Runner
have to
movie,
get
but of
fit through
course,
the
in the
video.
first Blade Runner movie,
Good,
just like
go
the
ahead,
book, The
do it,
Android's
do
Dream
it.
of Electric Sheep, there are barely any animals left in the whole entire Earth because the pursuit of capital, of profit, of everything in this world has resulted in most nature being destroyed. And instead of nature, the whole of LA is just dominated by towering pyramids, massive buildings, and a giant black cityscape. It's truly like a capitalist dystopia, this one. But Blade Runner 2049 takes that even further because it puts the
Irrational.
contemporary fears of
Yes.
Could you keep the mouse on that so we can sort of keep track of time with the video?
Sure.
climate change in it. So how relevant that Texas has just had this massive snowstorm which has devastated the state. People experiencing temperatures and conditions they have basically never experienced in their life living in Texas, which is primarily quite a hot place to live. Now, California is quite similar in the sense that it is quite pleasant to live weather-wise all year round. It's always been pretty hot.
I
What
refuse
does
to believe
the
that.
California of 2049 look like? Well, it's constantly snowing, and it is raining, but not as much as the old one. And to further the context of the film and how it's about climate change, LA also has a massive sea wall to keep the rising sea levels out. Now, famously, we know Ben Shapiro has been in the past a bit of a climate change skeptic. Thankfully, he has accepted it exists, but then it's kind of hard to reconcile that with his crusade against the Green New Deal and continually supporting Donald Trump's agenda.
Because
Okay,
the
I
Green
think
New
it's
Deal
a-
is crap.
Yeah, I think it's
Right.
probably a good. Yeah, I think it's probably a good point to stop and talk for a moment. I don't think that most conservatives deny it. I think that they're critical of the actions that people want to take. Like some of these actions, I think that we've gone over it, can easily cause World War III, or just aren't going to achieve anything from a statistical standpoint.
And then also the other things, like if we want to go with the human factor in causing climate change, which I'm very skeptical of. Yeah. Of course, if we look at the biggest causers for these, it's not, Western Europe or Canada or the United States. It's countries like China, India, and certain parts of Africa.
Yeah.
Which then they refuse to acknowledge.
I'm
And then
curious if he's actually read the Green New Deal, because half of it has nothing to do with green energy or anything. It's just socialism.
Well,
Yeah,
yes.
of
Yeah,
course,
well, neither
because
does
it's
the
made by
Green New-
Ocasio-Cortez, Mr. Google,
Neither
Mrs.
does the-
Googly Eyes himself.
Well, the other fact is that it just ignores, well, just reality. Like, even if you wanted to implement the Green New Deal, it doesn't face reality. That would actually probably cause more carbon emissions rather than less.
Yeah, because
That's
it's
also
so construction
something that-
heavy.
And that's also not counting other issues, such as like solar panels are mostly not recyclable, and windmills or wind turbines are absolutely not recyclable.
I will have to disagree
Okay.
with you there on Steel Fang about the green energy. Apparently, it's not neither really coal's fault nor is it green energy. I forgot what someone said. I read up that it was just not planned out for this kind of thing for it to happen. I think that. I
All right,
can't
give me.
remember. Does anyone know else more details about the
Well,
whole Texas
you can
situation?
argue that the green. Well, first off, a lot of people first try to blame, as you said, clean coal, which is just false because clean coal, just in general, in its current status, cannot supply enough power. Then the other political thing that you can blame it on green energy is because a lot of politicians kept pushing, so green coal power plants were closed down, and
yeah,
if
all
I'm not
power plants
mistaken,
were
a couple
closed down.
of nuclear reactors were also closed down to make way for solar fields and wind turbines. Which, of course, if the nuclear power plants were still there, then the power issue wouldn't really be there. But also, it's just overall the basic issue. Texas is a fucking desert. If you freeze a desert, anything that works in the desert will not work in a frozen environment.
Okay,
Yeah.
can I chime in real quick?
Go ahead.
Okay, So this is my thing. They always talk about wind turbines and solar panels. How do they make solar panels? Oh yeah, strip mining in Africa using basically
We
slave
don't
labor.
acknowledge that. Demon,
What
shut up.
do
We do
wind-
not acknowledge that.
Oh,
We
is
know
a
that the
fact?
brown
Okay.
people's lives do not matter. Only the black ones in the United
Okay,
States.
and with windmills, how do you lubricate the windmills? How do you make the fiberglass to make the windmills? Oh yeah, you need this thing called oil. And it's just like, oh, well, you want to get rid of this, but you're not fixing the problem. And I'm I'd say a hardcore conservative, but I believe climate change happens. It's happened across history. I'm
I
not
was gonna
sure
bring
about
out
how much
earlier.
we contribute to it.
I was going to bring up earlier that if we look at well, technically it's written in stone when we look at the geology of our history throughout time. The Middle Ages was on average cooler than what it is now, and the Roman period was much hotter than what it is now.
Before
I
the
think,
Industrial
like-
Revolution, it was
Yeah.
hotter than it is now.
Mhm.
So that's a BS argument.
Well, my biggest problem is trusting the people that are allegedly going to go and save us. Like look at Bill Gates. He talks so much about climate change and what we should do about this, but yet they go in their private jets and but burns a hell of a lot of fuel and kind of do things that you sort of don't trust them about. Like there was this one species, I forget the name of it, but it's an endangered species, and it's threatened by illegal immigration. And of course, no one will do anything about it because, well, you know what that leads into. And so there are certain lack of principles, like when you take Biden, and you look at Biden, and he's not wearing a mask on federal property, despite him literally writing a law stating people on federal property should wear masks. Or another good example is, how well do you trust
Gavin
the people
Newsom,
that
Gretchen Whitmer,
yeah,
Andy Cuomo.
like when the lockdowns began, you would hear all these celebrities bitching about like how difficult, like how hard our life is when they live in a fucking 100-acre mansion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Remember what's her name, Madonna, telling us of how the coronavirus has made us all equal from her marble bathtub.
Yeah.
I've seen where they farm fucking marble. It is goddamn expensive, and I want a marble bathtub because marble is fantastically cool.
Well, then I'll make sure we have a marble bathtub when we have our own house.
Oh great, you're gonna get us killed by the damn communist.
Well, I get the
I have a
point.
marble kitchen.
And yes, Poseidon, you have a question?
Who?
Poseidon, he says he has
One
a
of
question.
our viewers, he has a question. All he's written right now is question ration. Well, apparently you're being ration now, rational. So that
Yeah,
means
you need
can
to add
only
an AL. AL.
for every 5 minutes of film, you can only talk for a minute.
Well, while he's writing his question, back to the whole Green New Deal thing, like he's talking about global warming, all that. Even if we were to say that that global warming is caused by humans, let's say it's catastrophic, the Green New Deal wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't help actually anything. If you actually wanted to lessen the amount of carbon emissions, you have to use nuclear power. You have to.
To be fair, I'm going to interrupt you for a little stupid joke. To be fair, the greenest energy that you can go is nuclear fission, because it will just be a whole cycle. Our life on this planet
Yes,
started
nuclear
with
is the best way to
help of
go.
the sun, which is
No,
just a
nuclear
giant
fission is different from nuclear power, Demon.
Yeah, I know, but we
I was
are
telling Demon.
fairly close to nuclear fission. In fact, the German project on nuclear
You mean
fission has made some
fusion?
breakthrough. No, fission.
We have nuclear fission reactors.
I know it's gonna bother you, and I'm never gonna stop changing it.
Anyways,
I'm going to.
there are those sources, yes, but they're not fully developed quite enough to be even affordable. But nuclear power...
Well, it's not so much affordable as the magnetic field that we have to try to develop to hold the nuclear fusion together isn't really fully stable, and the last thing we want to do is start a sun on
Yes, that's the other fact.
on the surface of our planet.
But anyways, we have technology right now that is very clean, does actually not pollute a lot. We can dispose of waste, and I think in some cases we actually might be able to recycle the waste.
Yeah, we can
nuclear
recycle
waste
most of it.
Nuclear waste, you can refine it back into a reactor-grade uranium. The French developed it years ago.
Yeah, so we have the technology today to reduce carbon emissions. But no one on the left, pretty much hardly anyone, there's very few, ever say we should go with nuclear power. They want to close all the nuclear plants down.
Anyways, you want to know what's kind of ironic?
What?
A modern-day Western coal power plant is still technically cleaner than things like giant solar panel fields and wind turbines. Not wind turbines, windmills.
Anyway, I think we should get back to the video, and
Sure.
maybe to make up some lost time, maybe do 2 minutes, and then we'll stop and talk again.
So who left you in
Right,
charge of this stream?
I don't know, man. I'm just trying to contextualize the strategy. You're
sometimes you gotta
you're more than likely. Yeah. I'm just trying to help you out, man. You're more.
I was about to make the whole joke that if Outlaw, if you act more like a fucking dumb, we would have gotten this done quicker, but
Oh,
no.
fuck you. Fuck you, pal.
All right, guys, I'll be right back. I'm going to try to switch back to my computer.
Well, we're going to continue without you.
Yeah, no, that's
Where
fine.
he
I'll be
puts
right back.
fossil fuel lobbyists in charge of the EPA. So what did Ben Shapiro think about the sea levels rising?
So let's say, for the sake of argument,
Yeah, but you just said that he doesn't think that. And that, yes, everyone agrees that was this dumb point he brought up. I think even Ben Shapiro realizes how dumb of what he said was there now. I'm pretty sure he's moved on from that.
Well, maybe hypothetically, he's just a person. Screws up.
Mhm. Yeah.
We will always fuck up at some point. Now, a range of fuck up can be from making a stupid opinion to bombing a village
Okay.
town.
All right, Z,
I can't hear anything.
we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. May or may not help you. There's a Chrome extension allowing you to play videos up to 16 minutes faster than normal. Isn't that literally a function on, if you click the settings over here, video speed?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. We can do that a bit. Settings.
Playback speed.
We
Yeah,
can probably
it's-
do 1.5.
No, I'm
Let's
going to
skip
hear
this
chipmunk.
part.
that all of the water levels around the world rise by let's say 5 feet.
It
Oh,
will
God.
destroy massive coastlines, and you will have to have more radical things like a gigantic seawall in Los Angeles. And that is the context
gave
of
these
Blade Runner, this
people caffeine?
environmentalism in that
Maybe that's a little too fast.
Yeah, down a notch. There, perfect.
the sea levels will rise so much to stop the destruction of a lot of LA, you have to erect a massive wall, and LA also might look like Toronto year round. Now also in Blade Runner 2049, not only is there no animals left, there actually isn't any wood left basically, or any sorts of plants. You see a dead tree, which is quite a big deal because one of the characters comments on it, saying they'd never seen a dead tree before. Also, he finds a small flower on the grave of Rachel. He also has a little wooden horse made out of real wood, and when he brings it to the marketplace, they say they could get him a lot of money for this. So this is a world that has been completely destroyed by climate change, and it's visible for all to see. While I would say it's in the background, if you are some sort of intellectual,
The only problem is that is actually, if we were to go to say that it is talking about global warming and all that, yeah, okay. The only problem is that's Hollywood make-believe. If you ask most, like no climate scientist actually today says it's going to be so, global warming is going to be so catastrophic that all life is going to just end like that. None of
Yeah,
them.
it's not. No one has is able to predict when or if it would happen.
No. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that they always say climate scientists say it's going to be the end of the world, but none of the actually climate. If you actually listen to read what the climate scientists say, none of them actually say that. None of them. They'll say it's going to be more difficult, they'll say they don't know exactly how difficult it will be, but none of them say it's going to be so catastrophic that we're going to have mass extinctions, that the entire whole ecosystems are just going to disappear off the face of the earth. None of them say that. I've looked into what they've said. None of them say anything like what the news media says, or Hollywood, or politicians.
Of course, it's nothing like the news media said. If we believe the news media on everything, Y2K should have already killed all of us.
They told us Florida was going to be underwater in like 2001. I'm sorry, I'm still here.
Yeah, that's because you're still there. The water is afraid to come close to you. The
I like
instant
the
you
water.
die, Florida will sink and become the new Atlantis.
It might turn over and capsize.
But yeah, it's like, if you actually look at what the climate scientists say, at the most they say life is going to be more difficult. They don't even use the word catastrophic. They don't say it's going to be world ending or anything like that of the sort. They say the sea levels will rise.
Wait a moment. Poseidon made a comment. Oh wait, he did leave a question in the end. I guess it loaded too low. Why is one character from New Vegas hot? Is their answer? What?
What I think
I don't
you mean
understand
from
the
Fallout
question.
4. I think he's talking about the Fallout New Vegas.
Why
when he's
is the
mixing it up with
one
Fallout 4.
character from New Vegas hot? Is there an There is so much grammatically wrong to the point.
I think he's talking about Fallout New Vegas, but he really means Fallout 4 with Paladin Dance. That's the only thing I can think of what Poseidon is talking about.
Okay, let's go back to the main point.
Spoiler alert: Paladin Dance is a synth.
Yeah, I know.
I know
He's
you.
still
know.
hot, so it doesn't change anything.
Well, Outlaw only found out that he was a synth when he realized he was a Ken doll.
Hey, listen. Hey, I can judge your sexuality. I got the feeling that is, if they're of age, male, humanoid, and hot, and they consent, that's good enough for you, right? Like they could be a sexy toaster.
I was about to say that you're opening some terrible doors.
Anyways,
Is that a fetish he has or something?
But yeah, I know you, Neko, were talking about that. I forgot. What did you say about the scientists? Neko? And Neko's away for I don't know what's happening. But anyways, anyone else have any comments about this? What actually the scientists even say compared to what Hollywood and the news media say?
Well, the
I'm
only
good.
time I ever heard anything about climate scientists on something being devastating is more the ever-increasing human population.
Which has also been proven to be false.
I could believe that it would be devastating because
Well,
already...
No, I'm not saying it wouldn't be devastating, but we've been shown that it's actually probably going to cap out before it reaches 11
Yeah,
billion.
it'll
11
eventually
billion.
plateau. They think around like 12 or 13 billion.
Actually, I think they're thinking now less than even 11 billion. But yeah,
we will have to see before the disaster. My main problem is still that we have European governments that keep proposing this idea that Europe and Africa should form into one continent, and it's like, fuck no. Africa is such a vast country.
Read Roy's comment.
What if the toaster consents? For fuck's sakes. But I told you that this was the terrible door that you opened.
Also, apparently, Poseidon is saying yes to what I was talking about with Paladin Dance. As for how he's hot, he has an attractive face. I've also seen some particular fan art drawn. He has a very
You're going to get this
muscular body. I think I've also seen him outside of, like, in game screenshots of him outside of the power armor.
Yeah,
he's pretty got some big cake there.
No, he's still wearing like a jumpsuit.
Yeah, but the jumpsuit shows all the curves.
Hey, I'll take the dead or alive girls over any of the thoughts I've met any day.
What's
How
his
the
name
fuck
one
did this
last time?
conversation got so sexual?
You and Poseidon.
I was fucking joking. Now you guys are talking about preferred methods.
Don't you know we live in the 21st century? Jokes don't exist anymore. Everything you say is a fact of your opinion.
What's his
That's a
character's name
hate
again
fact.
for research purposes?
Hate facts?
But yeah, as far as let's just say Paladin Dance, I think it's pretty obvious how he is attractive to myself and to many other people.
Not me.
I'm not saying straight guys like you, Demon.
Well, I mean, he's an attractive man for a video game character.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it! Let's stop talking about Paladin Dance's dick. All right, this is probably.
Actually, I'm just talking about his ass, so.
Yes.
Okay, move on. Move along.
Because as I said, he's got some cake.
Hey,
Oh,
hey,
God. Let's just continue.
That's why I need to do
Enough.
research.
Neko, I will strangle you if you continue this conversation.
But you're gay too.
I don't give a shit. We've already been over an hour on this.
God,
Alright,
this
let's
is why I
continue.
don't like being the only straight man here.
Hey,
you're not. I'm straight.
Well, you're Florida, man. All right, you're on a whole other spectrum.
Oh yes, I'm my own individual. Hey, at least I live in the free state of Florida.
Sorry,
Oh,
I
we
didn't
have a
think it
comment.
would go down this road. Well, if there's a 1% possibility, we have to take it as a 100% plausibility.
Did you just got done watching Superman versus Batman?
No, that's the only quote I know from the fucking film, and I will use it for any stupid occasion.
anyways,
I'm clipping this.
Yes.
Like Ben Shapiro purports to be an intellectual, surely you would pick up on the climate change stuff. Now, the stuff he said about, sea levels rising and some other stuff he said about climate change basically, being disputed, he said that the same year this movie came out. So I find it extremely weird he doesn't understand the message of Blade Runner, but of course he's also a hyper-capitalist who believes in things like the free market and believes, capitalism is the best system, it's lifted millions out of poverty, but the whole point of the Blade Runner movies is to show you how capitalism completely destroys our planet. And it is way more apparent in
usually when Hollywood tries to portray capitalism as the one destroying the planet, they aren't really portraying capitalism.
May I insult someone?
Sure.
Hey, Steel Fang, you go fuck yourself with yourself inside yourself.
Demon is in denial.
Oh, boy.
I don't know. With the last few girls I dated, I don't know. Maybe I will be gay.
Seriously, Putza, you had to post that in the private chat?
Oh, what did he post?
Not Putza, I mean Neko.
Ah, yeah, there's the cake.
I'm not eating that cake. I'm not going anywhere near it.
It's PG cake.
Well, you should just. Hey, everybody in the chat, you should go. Blue waffles are not available anymore, so you should look them up.
Do not do that.
Do not do that.
Demon, you're gonna get us all killed now.
Hey, I heard there's two girls. And,
No, shut up.
Okay, let's continue.
Play.
2049. Like, I can understand to an extent why you might be seduced as a right winger by the aesthetics of the first Blade Runner, because the first Blade Runner is maybe a place you'd like to go visit. The second Blade Runner is not a place you'd like to go visit. Completely blacked out sky, snowing and freezing all the time, the sea constantly battering your city, and the whole San Diego just being turned into a massive dump.
I don't think anyone on the right, nor Ben Shapiro, actually want to live in that kind of world. So, what is the point here?
Yeah, well, to part of the lore of the film, I've actually saw the other one. There was a great blackout, then shit kind of got a little apocalyptic, and I don't think that everything that happened because of the blackout was capitalism's fault.
Well, and I know we haven't got through the whole thing, but I'm wondering, does he even know why Ben Shapiro likes it?
maybe he just likes the movie.
Yeah, like, I don't get this idea of like, oh, you have to agree with everything a movie says, or oh, if you like a gritty movie like this, it means you want to live there.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't say that.
I mean, many films can have many different messages to it. Like, take Grave of the Fireflies. It doesn't necessarily portray the people as just innocent, helpless people, but it doesn't portray the Americans as heroes either. Like they can have conflictive meaning. You know, it might have left-leaning messages, but it probably also has some right-leaning messages. Like, to the guy's credit, Ridley Scott, who I know had a really big part of it, if you look at his film Alien, it does have a strong Marxist message to it.
Actually, that's most of Hollywood. There is a great organization on YouTube, FEE, Foundation for Economic Education.
Mm-hmm.
And for like the past 50 plus years of Hollywood's history, their biggest stereotype that they go against is business. You know, it's just business kind of person.
Which is pretty ironic.
Yes. But in the video, he also does point to studies which kind of show that this has helped into the modern disaster that we call wannabe socialists. Because really, it's been for like the past 50 years, always portraying business as a whole as bad. And even in films like Blade Runner, where it's very obvious that it's a corporation, they still rarely refer to it in the film as a corporation, but more as a business. So there is still the whole negative connotation, and let's face it, he is a child of that kind of thinking.
Yeah,
but
like,
yeah,
but,
that channel,
man, even
that channel's really good. I recommend it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my basic point on the whole thing was of that. Fuck, man, I forgot.
See, this is why I usually watch sci-fi or horror. Or action movies. You don't usually get as much political nonsense.
No, but it's not too much. I mean, one of the better examples is John Carpenter's They Live.
Oh,
and
that had
John
politics.
No. Yes, it does, because John Carpenter absolutely hated he says in multiple interviews that he absolutely hated the conservative consumerism of the 80s. So the film is a direct assault on the whole thing that Ronald Reagan was able to bring in for business to the U.S., even though the only reason why his film was even made was because of this economic boom that Reagan brought in.
Yeah, but if you flipped that movie around and showed it today, it would be what Democrats think. And if they took over. I mean, you can... Like, something can be political 40 years ago, and then all of a sudden, like, it means something completely different if you watch it again.
Yeah, but that is through the viewer's perspective. What I'm trying to talk about is what the creator intended. That's why, to cite the previous thing that we said with Starship Troopers, if you look at the original film, the director found the books quite boring and decided, okay, I'm going to make this as a satire about fascism, which then, unfortunately, for some weird reason, Americans in a huge amount thought the film was genuinely pro-fascist, because apparently satire doesn't exist.
Hey, Z,
yeah.
Would you like to know more?
From you, no, but I will take it from the Federation. But anyways, but yeah, so the director turned the story into a satire of fascism, but the original author of the books was genuinely in support, believing that this fascistic as government future would be the best thing for humanity.
And the book was very critical of Marx.
Well, of course, because let's face it, when does communism work?
I'll wait.
Also, Poseidon. Yes, They Live is still a fantastic film. I'm just going to say that John Carpenter's reason for writing the film was fucking retarded. You can even like films that have bad politics if it's well made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we continue?
If we have to.
That is the future, but the politics of people like Ben Shapiro, that's where this will lead us. So I find it ironic how
I got a good joke for that. For that screenshot, my main joke is that the future, or is that Siberia after the collapse of the Soviet Union? I can definitely find a few pictures that will tell, which will be kind of difficult to tell the difference.
The only problem is, again, like, if you actually look at it, corporations, if you look at it when it's not a monopoly, companies do tend to, if they're held also partially responsible, they tend to be much cleaner than governments or monopolies when there's multiple companies or corporations.
I mean, that's most case. If I have to give a good example of basically the same technology being used in two different fields, it would be air travel in the commercial aspect and air travel in the military aspect. Because in the military, a lot of things, especially with fighter jets, they're technically very fuel inefficient, especially not counting afterburners, just in general. Whereas in the commercial airfield, it has to be fairly fuel efficient to actually be able to pay for itself.
Well, yes, and there's also the fact that, for example, let's go through the going sort of back to like Dr. Seuss. What was that movie that was based off of Dr. Seuss books? The Lorax movie.
Or the Grinch.
For example, the character who had his business chopping down all those trees, he was a bad businessman in the sense that he was bad at business. Because a true good businessman would not chop down all the trees so that there would be none existent. You would want to have a sustainable amount of source of that.
To be fair, it was also partially the concept that the people pushing him, aka his family, weren't exactly the best influencers.
Yes, that's true.
Although, to be fair, what was it? The Lorax, the original animated film from the 1970s, is still superior to the modern day film. Because
yes,
I'm just going to say it quickly. Because the main difference is that whereas in the Lorax modern film, he has his family that pushes him. In the original film, it was where he was doing bad business practices and then getting into arguments with himself and justifying them until he couldn't reverse the damage he did. So,
Well, and also it put a lot of the blame on the individual, not like this nebulous corporation.
Also, I'm not gonna. Yeah, that's good.
The what?
No, the whole thing that the original Lorax ended with the Von Slur giving the last seed to whatever the boy is called. I don't think he has a name in the first film. And basically, it's the whole thing that it is responsible to us individuals to secure our Earth, basically, our planet, not the businessmen who fucked up.
But anyways, my main point was that businesses tend to be much cleaner. Now, yes, there's instances where there are very bad business practices with, for example, a lot of, I think it was oil companies spilling oil and not cleaning up in third world countries. Part of the reason for that is because they're able to get away with it.
Ironically, I think you will find a striking correlation between how woke a company is and how dirty they are.
Yes, there's that.
Nike. We will portray all of the woke features on this planet and portray us as saints. But then we'll also find for Chinese slave labor in concentration camps.
Yeah, that's the problem is there's not enough personal responsibility from the people to hold these kinds of companies responsible. Now, yes, we can have maybe some government intervention to prevent those kinds of things, but you actually need to do that. You can't just expect a company to always be responsible. You actually have to do something to stop them from doing that, punishing from when they actually do things wrong. Not just regulating businesses so much so that it benefits the large businesses and hurts the smaller ones.
Well, you may also know the little thing that mostly those policies that damage smaller businesses always seem to come through lobbying.
Yes.
Well, also, what Poseidon wrote is the thing that started as of yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. The next thing that they want to cancel is Pepe Le Pew.
Pepe Le Pew? What?
Oh, yeah, he's a rapist. But Andrew Cuomo's just fine.
Actually, no. Cuomo's under a lot of fire. He's probably going down.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
did you hear that other Democrat? I forgot who it was who recently said that Andrew Cuomo shouldn't resign unless there's a fourth accusation. So apparently, 3 cases are okay for the Democrats if your politician is accused of molesting/raping them 3 times. Okay, that's fine. The 4th time, now it's bad.
I don't. If I recall from all the accusations, let's just say they are all true. I don't think any of them were actually rape, but more sexual assault.
I can explain it all to you. Basically, I mean, there's pictures where he grabs a woman by the face and he leans into her and asks, "Can I kiss you?" That's harassment, but he didn't rape her or anything. And there's other ones where they said he like groped them, touched them, said, nasty things to them. And he admitted, he was like, "Oh, sometimes I just thought I was making a joke or, something like that. And I'm truly sorry."
To be honest, I don't even know how anyone can think those are even jokes if they seriously think that.
Yeah, you don't do that with your coworkers or people that work for you. Like, at the very least, he should resign. And I think because of the nursing home thing, he should be in prison.
Well, technically, if you consider, as I do, what he did with the nursing home things to be murder. Because remember, he sent out an order for the old people to go back to the nursing homes and for them to not be tested.
Yeah.
So that sounds like murder.
Yeah, that's pretty much murder. When he had a huge hospital ship, a huge stadium where he could have put them. But no, he's going to put them in with elderly people who are vulnerable.
I don't know.
And then they hid the numbers.
I don't know if it's necessarily intentional murder so much. Might be manslaughter, more like.
No.
Well, he chose to cover it up.
Yes,
I'm not saying.
That's
Yeah,
where it starts to change. And also, you got to remember, because he put on the official thing not to get them tested for the virus, at least what you can get is plausible deniability that they did not know because they didn't test it. But then when you go about trying to cover up the shit, yeah, that's going to turn into not necessarily planned murder, but also not exactly manslaughter.
Well, yeah, and when his own staff comes out and says, "Well, we said it was 6,000 people because, we thought we were going to get investigated." And
also,
then it comes out,
I got some serious news over here, everyone.
Okay, go ahead.
Andrew Cuomo just signed in a new bill in the fucking state of New York. So New York State for fucking hell, I cannot laugh because this just happened. He fucking signed a thing in, so now it lowers the bar for sexual harassment in the workplace in the state government.
Are you kidding?
I'm not joking.
I gotta look this up.
Oh, good God.
Oh God, I'm gonna send.
Well played. Well played. He's a hell of a statesman.
He's a scumbag.
Hey, there's 2 kinds of politicians. One that helps the people, the other one secure their position. He's done a fabulous job with the other one.
Anyways, let's continue.
Well, actually, I'm sorry, but I do need to get going a little early.
Aww.
I'm sorry. Pardon?
Well, he has a life. He has a life. Back off.
Bye, Neko.
Peace out, Neko.
One of these days we're gonna have to get his boyfriend to come on so we can know what he's like.
Well, why the fuck do you...
What? No, you were saying something, Putza.
Yeah, I was trying to make a joke. Well, what he's like, huh?
Hey, now we have diversity. We have 2 straight guys and 2 gay guys.
True, and we got a Florida man.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Anyways,
no, wait, let's see. Before we continue, let's see what diversity check marks do we take off. So, So Demon is our crazy Florida man. So the whitest of us all. Putza is the mentally disabled one. I'm the racist one.
You're the Nazi.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm the racist one. And what does Outlaw fit into?
The furry, the one that's going to rape us all.
So the rapist. Got it.
All right, let's go on with the video.
Oh, he's just gonna ignore that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was busy talking, but it was
I made a joke that you were going to rape us all because you're a furry.
Okay, I gotta quickly go because I really need water, and my water bottle is unfortunately empty.
Oh, Germans don't get water.
No, they
the
get
Jews
water.
don't get water. We need water.
You drink from the Rhine and you make crappy beer. Actually, I
Coming
do
from
like
the person who has Budweiser.
Well, yeah, you got a point there.
Anyways, let's continue.
Take it all in. As an intellectual, think about the wider messaging of the film and think, God, that's a great movie. I love this movie so much. Again, the only reason I can think that he would passionately love it while actually understanding the message is that he wants to live in this hellscape. But this really isn't unique to Ben Shapiro. Conservatives fundamentally don't understand that films that they like or claim to love or claim that they're the best movie of the last 10 years simply have a message saying, yeah, Ben Shapiro, your politics are bad.
If I could just respond real quickly, who here likes any kind of post-apocalyptic shit? Like any fiction, video games, movies. Like, I like talking about zombie apocalypse, but I don't literally want to fucking want one to happen.
He's gaslighting. That's all he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I hate this kind of crap because it's disingenuous, it's dishonest, and it's fake.
Well, the other thing is that even if you want to say that the original intent of the movie was to show a somehow capitalist society being dystopian like that isn't capitalism. It really isn't. If you look at it realistically speaking. As we've just talked about, that's not capitalism, that's more probably corporatism or government.
Theocracy.
Yes.
Okay, can we just get done with this idiot? Because I gotta go cook dinner in a bit.
Mm-hmm. But even if it is, let's just say it is supposed to be capitalism, and we were to take it, from the literal standpoint of what the original intent of it was, people can still enjoy a film and just disagree with the realities of it.
Yeah.
I don't actually think magic exists because I watch a bunch of
What did I
different
miss?
shows and films with magic in them.
Yeah, I don't want a nuclear war because of Fallout, like Steelfang said. I don't want a dystopian nightmare future like Far Cry, even though we kind of live in it. I don't want... God. Oh, this guy's
honestly, if we get power armor and a nuclear war, I'd be fine with that. I think
I might trade half the population for power armor, yeah. As long as I get the XO1.
Anyways, let's continue.
People believe him in the future because I'm really scared, but this is where it's going to lead, and how fitting, again, that I'm talking about this stuff after what has happened in Texas. Now, Doomcock is another guy who loves Blade Runner. Now, I'll cut him a bit more slack than Ben Shapiro. His channel was called Outlaw DVD. Now, he recently made a video about Deckard being a replicant, but when Rutger Hauer died, he made a little live stream talking about how much it's upset him, and how Blade Runner is possibly the best film of all time.
Blade Runner is perhaps one of the greatest films ever made. You could arguably say it's the greatest film ever made.
What?
Oh, I said he's going after Jim Cock. I like that guy.
Yeah,
Made. It's certainly always in my list of top 10 films, even when that list fluctuates. Blade Runner is one of the things that always I go to. And the very best part of Blade Runner, the beating heart of it, the soul of Blade Runner, was Rutger Hauer's performance as Roy Batty. That movie would be a hollow exercise in style and spectacle if it were not for Rutger Hauer's outstanding and movingly human performance as Roy Batty. He was ostensibly the villain of the piece, but as it turned out at the end, I think we all learned something about what it is to be human from his example.
Now, this makes me laugh, as of course this guy is extremely right-wing. His channel is essentially an anti-SJW channel dedicated to whining about
I
politics
think we have to
in
acknowledge that
films and
communists
politics.
cannot tell the truth.
Or they also can't tell what is actually right wing, or even far right.
He's not far right. I'm more right wing than he is.
Politics in things like Star Wars, but at the same time he's talking about Blade Runner being the best film of all time. And I just think that's extremely interesting, the dissonance that you can have a certain view of politics, you can have a certain view of the world, then a film holds up a mirror of your politics and says, look what this is going to cause, and you're like, best film I've ever seen. And like I said, the only reason I'd assume these guys would think that is that they want to live there. And I'll cut this guy some slack that the aesthetics of the first Blade Runner, the vibe of it, maybe is a bit attractive, but the messaging about, you know, capitalism, about slavery of the replicants, that is still very, very prevalent. I don't understand how you can have this extreme conservative politics.
Who on the conservative side argues for slavery? Seriously, like, name me one person, like, one big popular political figure on the right who argues for slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And don't give me those alt-right people, because no one actually supports them, hardly anyone. Who actually supports slavery? Name me one.
I don't know. I've also never met a white supremacist or a neo-Nazi. I don't know. I don't know where they're at. But...
Now, I'm not the most politically informed on this, but we do get a lot of our productivity generally from real slavery. We aren't really making a whole or doing a whole lot about it.
Oh, you mean in China or Libya?
Yeah, well, just like the businesses and we do. Like again, I don't have a list of people, but like take it like Nike. Like Nike is literally in Congress trying to argue to keep their human slaves. And there's backers, and there's people who do that. We do profit off of it.
I'm not saying we don't profit off of it. I'm just saying no one argues for that, really, other than like some, you know, obviously.
I know, but I do think it says a lot that just all of us in general, you know, most of us. That I don't think that we do enough about to stop the current problem. You know, that's like the biggest problem about the West. It talks a lot, but it doesn't do a whole lot about its actual values.
Mm-hmm.
He isn't smart enough to make that point, nor is it something that he's ever going to touch upon.
Yeah, but it's also like we have kind of acknowledged that he is already the class of people that he wants to get rid of. If that makes sense. That we have to try to narrow this guy down. Okay. We know that he got space in this apartment. We know that he probably lives somewhere in Northern Ireland or Southern England, which already typically ain't too cheap in some aspects.
The funny thing is, if you're living in a cheap apartment, I can actually relate to him. But yeah, man, we are vastly different. But one thing that, to the points I wanted to make about it, is that a lot of comedians have very strong left-leaning biases, and half the time I listen to them, I want to pull my teeth out, but it's still some of the funniest shit I've ever listened to. Like, I enjoy comedians. And B, I don't agree with the Nazis or anything, but man, I find some of their tanks to be absolutely sexy.
Oh, you just spoke Z's language.
Come on! You have to be a fanatic for German ingenuity. not the factories, but like the tanks and guns and shit.
Well, to be fair, the early factories were actually factories. Later on, I mean.
Okay. Oh God! You mentioned tanks. God damn it!
No. To be fair, if you want to check down the really fucked up route, is just to see how many people got away with slave labor through Nazi Germany. Basically, I'm talking about Nike,
Kepler,
Coca-Cola,
Actually, I don't think Nike was founded. I think Nike was founded after World War II. I would have to do more research on it, but
I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Did.
I'd have to look that one up. I'm not sure. Oh, and Poseidon. It's 5 o'clock in Florida. I mean, it's 4:45.
Anyways, let's continue.
Of Blade Runner, unless you fundamentally do not understand the wider themes of the film. Sure, you could watch as the story and maybe not get it, but I still think the story in both films plays into the wider themes of both films. Now, I've made a massive 30-minute video on the fandom menace. I've spoke about Star Wars anti-SJWs for a long time. So I'm going to show you a little montage of geeks and gamers complaining about Star Wars and politics, and left-wing politics at that. And then I'm going to get into how it's so ridiculous to be such a crusader against mild liberal politics in the new Star Wars, and you don't actually realise that the original trilogy is influenced by pretty radical politics by your standards.
Point me to one. Point me to one.
What radical politics is even in the trilogy? At most, it just talks about the symbolizing the stormtroopers with Nazis.
Because he's taking Jeremy out of context.
What happened?
He's saying that the original trilogy has radical politics.
In a way, but it doesn't really. Like, there isn't going. Like if you look at the scene from the end of The Last Jedi, they're talking about the Force, which is something that's heavily based off of Buddhism.
That is.
Well, yeah. Like, if you look at the Force, it's very spiritual in nature. It's not even something that's ethnically bound to someone. And it was more about personal individualism and visceral seduction of power. It wasn't like he was going to go, I have brought my biography, Mein Kampf, and we're going to sit through page 47. He just gets into the intellectual debate with Skywalker.
Well, my whole thing is that he seems like to think that Star Wars is super left-wing film. Like, I don't think
maybe in a way, but when that's...
No, Star Wars did the genius thing of... because basically it came down due to two things why Star Wars was really successful, especially the first one. The special effects that they wanted to do was really expensive. So George Lucas spent a shit ton of his time making sure that the writing for the characters was good. So of course he employed help of Steven Spielberg, and Steven Spielberg during that time having some success and having some connections, got the script to be written, read and partially rewritten by some of the best Hollywood screenwriters back then. And then of course you have people like Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford all adding to their characters, helping more with the script. So it was a combined effort that actually made it work. The basic story plot of Star Wars is very simple. The characters are well written. I still can't see like what puts out what he said, the only thing that I can really think of as radical is some mentionings and some inspirations for the Jedi and all being taken from like Tibetan Buddhist faiths and.
Well, it does have a libertarianist message, but the thing is.
Yeah, but is that really radical? Even in the.
You also got to think about he's talking about it being left-wing radical views. Like nothing in there is left-wing.
That's what I was trying to get to that. That it was a different version. Like generally the left-wing politics of then, anybody now could get behind it. Because they are fair and just. It doesn't cater to ethnic groups or revenge or anything of any kind of communist or authoritarian nature. But if you break down Star Wars, it's resisting tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, God knows what's going to happen when you get that power, but...
do you want to wrap it up, or should I just go?
No,
you gotta go?
Yeah.
You go?
Yeah, I kind of need to go. But
we'll see you later, Demon.
It was nice talking to you, and screw this moron, not Jeremy, the guy that's talking, and I'll talk to you all later.
All right. See ya.
Deuces.
All right. Let's continue.
Movie that has ever pandered to SJWs and succeeded. Do not pander to social justice. We need to get her political ideology and propaganda out of Star Wars. Make Star Wars great again. Fire Kathleen Kennedy.
Today we are talking more about the High Republic because the High Republic continues to prove me right when I said it was SJW garbage. They have taken 40 years worth of fans.
Speaking on the High Republic, has anyone heard of the fantastic character from the new High Republic?
Is it the Han Solo ripoff whose companion is a literal brick or something?
I was gonna just talk about The Rock.
Oh yeah, The Rock.
And it's not Dwayne The Rock Johnson, it's just a rock. But it's a character.
And stories and transformed it into a social justice propaganda machine.
So yeah, leftist SJWs are taking over Lucasfilm and making Star Wars political for the first time ever. Well, I would argue the sequel films are way more centrist liberal than anything George Lucas made. Now, George Lucas's prequel films do have problems with certain stereotypes of different, ethnic groups and stuff, but I would say largely the politics of those films are left-leaning. So listen to James Cameron and George Lucas. I played this clip a lot. Listen to these guys talk about the inspiration for the first Star Wars film.
Did something very interesting with Star Wars, if you think about it. The good guys are the rebels. They're using asymmetric warfare against a highly organized empire. I think we call those guys terrorists today. We call them Mujahideen, we call them Al-Qaeda.
When I did it, they were Viet Cong.
Exactly. So
No,
were
I
you
think
thinking of that at the time?
No, it's same tactics, but it's completely different.
No reasonable person would look at North Korea and let's say they were doing the same thing as they were doing in Star Wars. Nobody would call them terrorists. They would call them freedom fighters. Like the thing is, we look at Antifa, see a murder of, well, that was more of the BLM riots. But you see them burn down like some poor minority store and beat the shit out of some people that just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. I think terrorism is a bit more of a justifiable claim.
And also, you gotta remember, I'm gonna take a guess that interview was of modern day George Lucas, who is a bit crazy. Like, I will still hold my ground. George Lucas is an unhinged, creative, crazy person. Because, remember, the Red Tails, George Lucas's failed World War II film, which I still watch it because I find it entertaining, but yeah, its writing is poor and so on. If you look at the marketing in 2010, he tried to argue that this was the first fully black cast film. The film was 2010. The French Prince of Bel-Air already happened like 2 decades before.
You know, one thing I never understood about the guy is if they're so rich, why they can't afford a ceiling? Oh, you haven't seen that?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, he means well. Like generally, I haven't had too many problems with George Lucas.
And the main problem with him with the prequels and even with what was it, Red Tails, is he was surrounded by yes men.
Yeah. Anyway, I might have to get out of here. Hey, Daddy.
We're almost done.
One of my companions needs to ride to work, and he's running late, so looks like I'm getting fucked over.
All right.
All right. Well, anyway, see you guys. It was nice talking to you.
See you later, Pizza.
Bye. Have fun.
I won't.
And then there was 2.
Well, I'll be leaving then.
No, you are not. We are going to finish this. We're not going to finish the whole video, but at least finish this Star Wars part. All right, let's continue.
So it was a very anti-authoritarian, very kind of 60s against the man kind of thing, nested deep inside of a fantasy.
Or a colonial, we're fighting the largest empire in the world.
Right.
And we're just a bunch of hayseeds in coonskin hats. Don't know nothing.
That's right.
And it was the same thing with the Vietnamese.
Yep.
The irony of that one is in both of those, the little guys won.
Right.
And the big, highly technical empire.
The English Empire. Right?
The English Empire, the American Empire, lost.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
But that's a classic us not profiting from the lesson of history. If you look at the situation now, where America is so proud of being the biggest economy and the most powerful military force on the planet, it's become the empire from the perspective of a lot of people around the world.
It was the empire during the Vietnam War. But we never learned, from England or Rome or, a dozen other empires that went on for hundreds of years or sometimes thousands of years. We never got it. We never said, well, wait, this isn't the right thing to do.
So they specifically say that the empire is the United States and the rebels are inspired by the Viet Cong. The Viet Cong...
I highly doubt he did it based on that. Because, for one, the imagery was always Nazis. It was never about the U.S.
The closest thing that I understand when it comes to Asian things is Darth Vader's outfit was partially inspired by, I forgot what it was, the specific samurai armor called.
Yeah, I'm going to say that George Lucas was bullshitting there.
Well, like I said, if it's 21st century George Lucas, then yeah.
Because the imagery doesn't even fit with the United States. Even if you wanted to say that. Nazism, I can see kind of an imagery there. Even that, though, is still... it's hard to see that kind of for me, even still. But definitely not America. And
quit mocking my people.
Anyways, as far as the United States being imperialist, it hasn't been imperialist for quite a while. Even during with the Vietnam and Korean Wars, that wasn't imperialism, that was interventionism. We're still in an interventionist movement. The United States hasn't been imperialist since, I think it was, when was the Spanish-American War?
No clue.
Well, anyways, I forget. When was Teddy Roosevelt president? Because I think Teddy Roosevelt was the last imperialist president.
That was the early 20s? Or maybe it was before World War One. I'm not too...
Teddy Roosevelt.
Found. Be careful, because there's also Teddy Roosevelt from 1901 to 1909.
Yeah.
So before World War One.
We have had imperialist times, and we've had that. But since the early 1900s, we haven't been imperialist. We've been interventionalist.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy Roosevelt was the last imperialist president. And even before him, it was depending on different ones that were imperialist, and you could argue maybe not quite imperialist. For most of the United States history, it wasn't even really, I would classify imperialist because, for example, let's go with the taking away the Native Americans' lands. That wasn't usually done by the federal government. That was done by just people taking those lands. It wasn't by the federal government usually.
Yeah, but we took their lands, they scalped their neighbors. It was just regular deal.
Yeah, it's just this is historical revisionism.
Of course it's historical revisionism. Have you checked out the fucking Native American page on Wikipedia?
Yeah. Maybe we should do that sometime, checking out all the different Wikipedia pages.
I mean, for God's sakes, if you read the page, they don't even mention the baby raping. And I'm talking about the natives, because there are some really fucked up tribes. And then the white men killed them.
Oh, I think we're done, because there's not much.
You're just saying that because you're lazy.
No. Everyone's left. There's only two of us here. You and me.
Lazy.
The two boyfriends in the group. Anyways, I think we'll end here. So, if
I'll
you
be
want
sending my email of resignation now.
What? Okay. Did you want to add any last comments, Val?
No, not really.
All right. So, before we end, I would like to say, if you aren't already subscribed, please subscribe. Also, follow me on Medium. I post articles on there periodically. And also, give my articles 50 claps. The other things I would like you guys to do is go ahead and follow Neko. He has his YouTube channel. He does his more geek culture content. You can also find BigRedWolphe on Discord. I believe I have his Discord link or Discord name. I think it was actually in the description. So go follow him. He does artwork stuff. So he does really good art. Go commission him. And also commission Z Commander. He's trying to get some more commissions. He's actually already working on a couple commissions of different kinds of tanks.
Nope, no. Just working on one at the moment.
Oh, I thought there was two that you had.
No, I have to get in contact with the Hungarian first.
Ah, okay. Yeah, go ahead and commission Z Commander. He does different kinds of tanks, cars, all sorts of different kinds of models he can make for you. And he does some really good artwork. You should also check out his website. So, do all this.
I need money.
And of course.
And unfortunately, I'm too fat for OnlyFans.
And not when I'm done with you won't be like that anymore.
Oh, shut up. You can't even lift a chair.
Oh, fuck you. I can lift a chair.
I refuse to believe it.
But goddamn, I do need to go back to the gym and start exercising again. I've gained so much weight. Anyways, if you like the content here, also consider donating to my Patreon or to my Ko-fi. That helps the channel and, helps me, continue. It is a bit of a motivation to still continue when I do see at least a little bit of income. Obviously, it's not enough to make a living, but it's really nice. And I really thank for my patrons for donating. So, do all this and see y'all later.